You're able to see my screen, right?
Yeah, your screen is beautifully visible.
Thank you. Okay, so good evening to everybody. Thank you for joining today's Masterclass Series 2021. Welcome back to all of you. And technically speaking, this is the last masterclass of this season because we are coming up with our virtual Emotional Intelligence Summit in the month of October. So next month, when we'll have, during the same time, we will be actually curtain raising the event. So yes, the journey started way back in 2020 when Lata and me came together to put our VEI Summit, Virtual Emotional Intelligence Summit, on 10th and 11th of October. And I think the momentum has not stopped from then on for both of us. And we went on to do many, many things. And thus, again, we are back with our second edition very soon. So, of course, what emotional ethics stand for and what I'm doing is we wanted the emotional ethics vision is to impact lives through emotional advocacy. The mission is to drive excellence in business through emotional intelligence and decision sciences. So, emotional ethics is a specialized HR consulting consortium which provides niche services in the area of emotional literacy, HR consulting, OD certifications, and experiential workshops. And we are a team of professionals and subject matter experts in the area of emotional intelligence and leadership. And this was founded in 2019. Over to you, Lata, to talk about MEQ Academy, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. And as you know, we are doing this program for almost a year now, and it's so nice to, ending it today with the SCL thing that, is very close to our heart. From MEQ Academy, we are working with the schools, we are working with institutions, educators, and we are just trying to tell people that how much social emotional learning is important in today's crucial time. And as we have completed 3.5 years in this field, I want to tell you that we started MEQ Academy back in 2018, and since then we have impacted almost 2,000 plus teachers' lives through this program. And we aim to reach 3 lakh teachers in next 3 years. And this won't be possible without your support. So that is all I would like to share right now. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And some of the highlights of the 2020, Virtual Emotional Summit, what we had done. Of course, you know that it was conducted on 10th and 11th of October. We took the theme as EI for all. We had 40 plus speakers, both international and national leading professionals. And it was attended by 100 plus participants. And we went even Facebook Live. We had diverse participants across the globe. And as a little way of our gratitude, we planted 55 trees and 40,000 we raised, and we donated 20,000 to Balevane, one of the NGOs, during the COVID season for their health and hygiene. And 20,000 was spent for Navjyoti Foundation School for skill upgradation of the students. And we also took some action points to, do after the summit. So to prepare a proposal with the help of educationists and other professionals to Ministry of Education. But we could see that this thing has already come up by UGC, has already released a circular that emotional intelligence has to be incorporated in all the higher education institutions. So we are very glad, and it is a welcoming change by the government. We also took another action point that we will conduct monthly master classes on various topics. And 10th of every month, here we are with our 11th class. We also released a compendium, a very good compendium of 100 pages with very research-oriented articles on the subject of EI for all. So the link will be posted in the chat box. Please, you can have a copy of it. And we released all the talks of the VI Summit have been released in the YouTube channel. We also have a EI Tribe LinkedIn page. You can always, get connected for it. We also did an affiliate partnership with EI for Change and Success Dynamics. We also conducted a Positive Psychology Summit on 14th February. And of course, the VI Summit 2021 is nearby for us. These are some of the pictures. This is the link for VI compendium. Then this is a YouTube channel. You can go and see all that what we had done last year. This is our EI Tribe LinkedIn page. And this is EI for Change, Robin Hills, who is there. He has been our online partner for all the emotional intelligence training programs. So if you wanted to take up any of the programs, you can write to us. There is a huge list of training programs which are world recognized, and at a special pricing. You can do it either from MEQ or EI. That's what he has given us this, and he's our partner. And of course, with Success Dynamics, with Robert Jerris, we had done good work. We had done 2 cohorts of EI in higher education coach certification program. Robert Jerris himself was the faculty for this, and we have 4 students who are going to, already 1 student has certified, and 3 students are in the process of certification. It was a very good partnership with him, and we continue on that. And of course, our journey of Master series started off from November, and we had Shishma, we had Anu, we had Robin Hills speaking, Robert Jerris speaking. Then we did the Positive Psychology Summit on 14th of February with a lot of good speakers and a lot of good topics and things like that. Then we had a panel discussion in the month of March on Diversity Month. So we had all the diversity people talking on EI for inclusive workplaces. Then we had Vijay talking on regulation of emotions. Then we had Yogita, we had Shankar, we had Renuka Kukreja last month talking about image building and emotional intelligence. So that's what was there. And now this big event is in front of us. 60 days from now, we are all getting geared up for this summit. So please do come over here, and definitely you will not regret of having learned a lot about emotional intelligence. So these are some of our posters, which is already there on our social media sites. You must be already seeing that we started off with our lesson. So yes, more to come. More we will be talking about more the speakers and the topics, everything and all very soon. So if you wanted to be a volunteer, sponsor, educational partner, or media partner, or something, you can write to us. You can come to us and tell us how do you want to be there. We welcome all of you. And today we come to the most exciting topic of social emotional learning and moral imperative from none other than Mrs. Neerja Singh. And I think to wind up our master classes, we have no other better than Neerja ma'am to talk about this very important topic. Over to you, Lata, to just a small introduction about Neerja ma'am, please.
Yeah, definitely. So we have been associated with Neerja ma'am almost now 3 years have passed. But yes, I remember the first day when I met with her and we were just talking how we can collaborate. And I never knew that we will come so far with this and we will have same, ideology. We would want to work in the similar field. So we are blessed to have her as an advisory board in MEQ Academy. And she has been guiding us, supporting us, and doing a lot of work in the area of social emotional learning, as well as the things that she does. So not taking much time, over to you, Neerja ma'am. And
yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Lata. And I have to start by applauding the two of you. Whatever Annapurna just displayed on the screen is phenomenal work. It really speaks for your persistence and perseverance. That's really fantastic. So congratulations for bringing it this far. And today I'm here to talk about social emotional learning being a moral imperative. Now, we presume that social emotional learning is about children, mostly. Obviously, we are in the business of education. However, we'll quickly do an exercise to gauge how emotionally literate are we all. We're going to start. I'm going to say something critical to Lata. Lata will say something critical to the next person, and we'll see how it goes. We are so used to praising each other, but today we are going to do something different. Lata, I don't like the lighting on your face. It's a little too harsh. It's your turn now to criticize anybody of your choice in this group. And then that person goes on. So we'll do it about 10, 12 times. Let's start, Lata. Don't praise, criticize.
Okay, that's difficult for me.
Exactly. So
that's difficult. So Abaji, this is for you. I don't like, you are not visible to me. I think you should be available. I want to see you.
Nice, Abaji. You are next. Criticize somebody. Say something hurtful.
I'll pick up on Chetna. Chetna, you are such a good listener, but I don't like it because when you don't speak up, when you don't like something about me, okay? So I want you to speak up.
Okay, Aman.
Today is your opportunity. Today is your chance. Just bring it on.
Oh. Okay, so I don't know much about very much about the participants. So Annapurna ma'am, I think you are not. I don't know much about you. You should be, you should talk more to me so that I must know more about you.
Okay, definitely, Krishna. We will have a good discussion. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, Dr. Pratima, I so wish that you come on screen because it has been a long time that we didn't see each other.
Absolutely, I'm here. Great. Acha, that's all. This was your. I thought it was a
Yes,
suggestion.
that was my
Oh,
criticism.
See how difficult we
Akka,
find
emotional
it to
intelligence
criticize
guru, you are
somebody
great.
else.
Great.
Yeah, you can go
So I'll
ahead.
just say for Nisha Hassan ji, Nisha ji, if how about coming on a real background than the virtual background, which is not real. I really like when we are authentic. I'll say this.
Great.
Bye.
Are we supposed to pass this on?
Yes, one last one.
Last one. Okay, I don't mind if I don't get a chance also because it's very odd to just criticize somebody and I'm opening my mouth for a so if I can be excused, I have no issues.
No excuses.
No excuses. If you don't criticize, we'll go on for 3 more minutes.
Oh, okay. Right. Anyone, right? So,
Criticize me, anyone.
Nature ma'am, I don't like the fact that you're actually, using the, what do you call it, the tagline, the teenager. What is
Okay.
that? Is not even a word. Sorry.
Wonderful.
Oh,
With that, we are going to conclude this exercise unless somebody is really eager to criticize another person on this call. Anyone? Nobody. And if I asked you to praise somebody, perhaps 5 of you would come forward. There's a reason we are doing this exercise. Social emotional learning is not only about being nice, about getting along, about masking our emotions or resolving them, or all the other components that we talk about. Social emotional learning is also about dealing with difficult emotions, dealing with difficult conversations. And we are bringing up the children. Would you please take? Yes. Now we are bringing up the children to play a role in the economy of the future, right? And the economy of the future is going to be AI human economy, AI-human economy. That's where we are moving now. Therefore, we have to bring up the next generation to be able to give difficult feedback to their perhaps colleagues, or to be able to push for some difficult decisions, or to be able to handle criticism. Now, the exercise we did today is towards an acronym that I call CURE. Now, what do you do when I was criticized for my name teenager? That is not even a word. Now, what do? The first thing I do is collect myself. CURE, C-U-R-E, collect yourself. Then you understand what is being said. You don't react immediately. Then what you do is you recover. Perhaps you're hurt and it really bothered you. We were very gentle with each other, but sometimes we face very harsh criticism. So you collect yourself, you understand, then you recover, and then engage. So be aware of the feelings that you are experiencing at that moment. Recover, gather yourself together, take some time off, step back, and then engage. So this exercise is to just tell ourselves that each one of us needs social emotional learning. Nobody is an expert. It's an ongoing process, especially in our culture. In our culture in India, we are brought up to be very nice with each other, to wear a mask. And I want to quickly share a story here. A year ago, I was part of the Professional Speakers Summit which was mounted by PSI, of which I'm a part, Professional Speakers Association of India. And there was an Indian speaker speaking. The minute he finished, there was a lot of applause. In fact, he got a standing ovation. And the person who was standing next to me, clapping away very enthusiastically, 5 minutes later, when we were moving out of the hall towards tea, he said, "Isse acha to main bol leta." So it was one thing in France, so we have this convenient mask, which is required at times. However, in reality, we do come across situations where we need to be more and more today when we are talking about being authentic. One of you mentioned the word authentic here. So that is the context in which I wanted to do this exercise, also to be aware and to notice and to agree that Indian culture does not encourage what we call individuation. And that is part of social emotional learning. A man, 45-year-old, is still treated like a child in our families. We are like that. Beta, bache kabhi bade nahi hote hain. So that individuation, that personal autonomy doesn't matter. I'm sorry, it doesn't matter. It matters. It doesn't happen is what I wanted to say. So that's an exercise. And for the rest of my presentation today, you will need Slido. So I'm going to, while I'm beginning my presentation, I'll give you a few moments to download Slido. Be nice enough and cooperative enough and open enough and enthusiastic enough to download Slido. There are just 3 Slido slides in my presentation and 1 breakout room. That's all. Slido will be on your Google app. You should find it there. And if somebody, one of you can help me, maybe Lata can help me to put a link. I downloaded it from the Google app. So App Store. Shall we begin? Let's go. Now I'm going to share my screen with all of you. Social emotional learning is a moral imperative today. There is no planet B. Of course, Elon Musk. There are many other companies, space companies that are trying to get private citizens like us into space, but as yet we do not have a plan B. So social emotional learning is a moral imperative. Moral imperative, what would you call it? You would call it a naitik avashyakta hai. It is something that must happen because it is the right thing to do. And I just shared this little cartoon with you. Very often, we might say it's a moral imperative, but it doesn't become an imperative until and unless he says it becomes a law, almost at gunpoint. Notwithstanding that, it is a moral imperative. Naitik avashyakta kyun hai? Why so? Let's talk about that. Let me first, have you got your Slido yet? Anyone?
You just download
Yeah, you
it.
can please share the link. We can just click and join you.
Oh, okay.
If it's possible. Otherwise, we'll just, as you have written already the code, we will join through that.
Yes, it'll be nice if you join through the code, please. I just wanted you to answer this. What functions do emotions serve? We keep talking about
Just a few
emotions.
seconds.
How's it going? Are you good?
Just,
Thank you, Lata, for putting the code in there. Or some of you can unmute and just answer. Those who have the Slido may type and go ahead and answer. Nishaji, would you like anybody? What function do emotions serve?
Oh, okay. Emotions actually help in directing us in the right, um, giving us direction actually. Like I sort of view it like as a part of my intuition, which tells me like where to, you know, like a lot of things might, you know, even though there are a lot of things in the environment that is trying to, you know, lower us or, you know, take us in that direction. Usually it's the emotions that actually tell us where we really have a connect.
Right. For instance, anger. How does anger help us? Anger is criticized, and we are told that we should not be so angry. But don't you agree that anger also helps us to survive? It gives us a sense of something that is threatening us. And there are reasons for all these emotions, whether they are negative or whether they are positive. So that's one thing I wanted us to think about, that yes, it drives human behavior. There is self-esteem, there is awareness, confidence, there's understanding, self-understanding. But the primary function that emotions serve is survival of the species. Emotions exist to help us survive. Anyone else would like to add to this? Otherwise, we'll move on to the next slide.
Is there a code for us to join the Slido, ma'am?
Yes. 787 is there on the screen. Can you see on the screen?
1 second, I'll minimize the screen. Okay, I can see that. Thank you.
Neerja Gaurav here.
Please,
I
Gaurav.
also feel it's about self-understanding. Our emotions are, if we understand ourselves, if we have to understand ourselves, we have to start understanding our emotions.
Yes. Yes, Gaurav, absolutely. And then that understanding is also to live better, to make the most of life, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So emotions function to help us live the lives in a more complete, more functional, more authentic, more expansive way. The best possible that we can be, you and I can be individually. So functions, emotions serve. These are the functions that emotions serve. Fine. So let's move on. And SEL, I believe, is not an option. It is a developmental right and an ethical and moral imperative. There on this slide, this is something that you're all very aware of. You know it is about self-management. You know it is about self-awareness and about decision-making, about relationships. All this we know because you've been studying social emotional learning for some time now. And the thing to remember is that this is owed now. It's one of, you could call it one of the human rights because of the circumstances we face today and where mankind and humanity has landed. Now, what is this state that we've landed in? Since we are discussing, particularly with regard to nurturing the generations next, our younger children, what is happening today? What are we facing? We are facing a crisis of trust. We don't trust our government. We don't trust our corporate sector. We don't trust the hospitals. We don't trust the policymakers. There's a trust deficit all over the world today. We don't trust the monopolistic companies, the tech companies, for instance, the tech titans. There is a lot of question around technology being unethical. Of late, you've heard a lot of these companies appointing ethics officers, but there has been a lot of talk about how Ranbaxy, for instance, how Air India, for instance, how the Boeings, for instance, there's case upon case upon case, banks, for instance, of unethical use of technology. So that is one. Then abuse of power and unclear future, the last one. It is not of our making, your and mine, but collectively, this is where we've landed. And this is the environment that our young are having to deal with today. And what is it leading to? A growing state of psychopathology. I've just put a link there. I'm not going to click on it. This is just to tell you that I've taken all this material from this link. What is this psychopathology? It's the kind of psychopathology we did not see in the past. There was pathology, but not to the extent and not so intense. So the stakes today are much, much higher than they have ever been before. That's my contention. Mental health problems in students. You read about so many cases in mental health, has become very crucial. It's become a big issue, a phenomena. And there are a whole lot of people today writing about it, engaging with it, and trying to deal with it. Psychopathology is one concern. This on your screen, this young person you see is my daughter. I wanted to share her story very briefly. Again, to emphasize the point I'm making that social emotional learning is a moral imperative today for these reasons. Now, my daughter at the age of 23 went into a clinical depression, and the reason was the competitive, highly competitive institute that she was a part of. Perhaps we didn't realize as parents the harsh environment in which she was operating, the lack of reference points, the lack of guidance, because adults around her from my generation and from some of you on this call work with certain assumptions. Those assumptions do not apply today. They don't work today. You really have to be plugged into what are the feelings, the emotions these young people are struggling with. What is the kind of information, waterfall of information that they are having to negotiate and to deal with, and why they feel so difficult to feel good about themselves despite everything. So this person on your screen, my daughter, she's a psychotherapist today, but she went through a phase of mood swings and clinical depression. Here, there's another person. That's my husband, and that's my picture. This is something I'm sharing from our past in the Air Force. My husband retired 2 years ago. Before that, we were for 37 some years, we were part of the Air Force. And in 2013, this incident happened. There was a fighter crash, a MiG-21 crash. The pilot lost his life. The country, the nation lost an aircraft. And what was the reason? The reason was social media addiction. Again, it is something that was unheard of when we were young. When I got married to my husband, he was a young pilot. It was inconceivable for something like this to happen. Now, these are the trends, the new situations we are dealing with, and therefore we cannot afford anymore not to engage with social emotional learning. These two incidents that I've quoted, I've shared with you, what are they? They were outcomes of a lack of ability to manage their emotions, to be disciplined about certain things, lack of self-awareness, because these young people were brought up with only the academic norms, not the normative norms. And we cannot afford to lose young, precious lives. Therefore, the moral imperative. So, what are we dealing with today? I'm a speaker on generational issues. I have this tendency to look at everything through that lens. And I do believe that social emotional learning is also addressing primarily this diversity, because today, caste, gender, any other national diversities are gradually blurring. Those lines are going, they've not gone yet, but they are becoming lighter. But the generational diversity, the worlds are so different. And the next generation is going to be even more different because AI is going to influence that. Generational is the only diversity, and that is what we are dealing with through the social emotional learning. Now, You will say this is a myth. I hear many people say that generational diversity, generational gap, these are all myths. They don't exist. But look at the screen. On your right, I'm presuming it's on your right, is Greta Thunberg, who's telling the whole world that you have stolen my future from me. This child has Asperger's syndrome. She does not speak all that much, and yet she was able to stand in the European Parliament and challenge the world's topmost leaders and insist that she be heard. And there on the left is 69-year-old Rajini, who recently did a photo shoot. She's a grandmother, and she was trolled on social media. And one of the comments was, "Why are you not dead yet?" Now, why are you not dead yet? What do all these sentiments signify? They signify undercurrents. They signify resentment. They signify disappointment. They signify a potential disconnect. And this is where your social emotional learning comes in. It is a moral imperative to bridge this gap through the ability to manage emotions, to understand where each other is coming from, whether it's a generation, whether it's a colleague, whether it's a parent, whether it's a boss, whether it's your child. Now, we are going to do an exercise because my belief and conviction is that today, all around us, there is an unresolved sense of grief. I'm going to request all of you, Lata is going to put you into breakout rooms. I'm going to stop sharing for 2 seconds. And I want you to, Lata, there are 12 of them. Maybe you can put them in 3 breakout rooms.
Yeah.
So there are 4 each. And you're requested to talk about this. Come back and share with us, what do you think is the nature of this unresolved grief that we are dealing with? You're free to come and say there's no grief. But tell us a little more about that. Why do you think there is no grief? I believe that there is unresolved grief. Discuss it amongst yourselves and come back and share it with us. Thank you.
Yeah, so rooms are ready.
Is everyone back, Lata? Yes, I think everybody's back. I see 13 people.
Yeah, I guess all are back.
All right, so let's quickly begin the sharing session. Who would like to go first? Please go ahead. Our representative is Abba.
Yeah, I
Thank you
feel,
so much.
I will invite our group, Mr. Avinash, who was beautifully narrating his perspective. Avinash ji, ek baar phir se, please come. Go ahead with your points which you mentioned.
Yeah. So thank you, Nirja madam, for this wonderful session. I joined late, and thankful to Annapurna ma'am and Lata madam. I have always followed them on LinkedIn, and their posts are amazing, outstanding at daily basis. So I'm always grateful to them. So my perspective, grief today is how we are growing with technology. It's not it's not boon for us, it's a ban for us, and it's not solving our problem, it's complicating our life.
Lovely.
And we are living in a VUCA world, like volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity world. And we are in a gig economy, so generation millennials generation and baby boomers generation, lot of gaps is there in their thinking, their adaptability with the situation, is like that mismatching fit with them to how to adapt, either is professional life or social life or family life. There no their day, I see in the lockdown many of the kids are starting their morning with mobile and evening ending with the mobile. And parents have a challenge how to get rid of these mobiles, so they are not mingling with their elders, they are not talking with their families, just mobiles and mobiles. So this digitalization or is not giving convenience to us, they are making their confinement thinking in their environment. So and our education system is also faulty. Our Indian education system is also responsible for this. We are not telling them how to talk with people, how to mingle with people, how socialize with people, like emotional intensity, social intelligence, it will work there.
Yes.
But from beginning they are bookish, book loading team, but giving burden to their back soldiers. This is the education system still going on. So I think we need to revamp our education system. Parents also have to play a greater role in that, and we have to adapt with their thinking, millennial thinkings to baby boomer thinkings, where we have to fit with that. And in our professional life, I see many of my millennial colleagues are very much of imposter syndrome. They are very much fear of imposter syndrome, that they that is the main reason for their griefs is coming. They are not able to manage their emotions, balance their
Yes.
emotions in their professional lives.
Yes.
So this is my takeaway in nutshell, and I am very happy to hear from other also. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? Abba. Go ahead, Abba.
I think what I understood of unresolved grief was a little bit of a personal level and then a generalization. So what I thought and what Nirja ji and Apurna ji and I were in the room was that what I understood of it it is a conflict between the past, present, and the future. We are stuck in time, our generation. We are worried about the children in the future, and the present seems a little bit dicey for us because, like Avinashji said, there's a tug of war between technology, and we are unable to cope with it. There is a lot of imposter syndrome. I agree with it because that is what we are not able to face because we do not come from that era which had that imposter syndrome. We were what we were on the face, and that is what we are. And that is, it still does not gel with us. Like Annapurna ji said, that unresolved grief comes from losing somebody. That, of course, is the biggest thing which till now we have not been able to understand. But then we have to move on. We understand. But then again, we have to make best of use of time over here. Like Nirja ma'am said, was that we are heartbroken when we see the future of the generation, and that grief comes of it that we are not living a planet the way we got it. And we need to do something about it to leave the planet to them at least better. But technology is not letting us do that. This run for the becoming the best is what is killing us mentally and emotionally. Because to become the best, we have to deaden our emotions. That is what I feel. And that is what is leading to a lot of frustrations over there. So I think our generation is stuck up between time like Trishanku, and we need to deal with all these things and then leave it on a platter for at least our generation. And I personally feel it starts with our home. So let's start working on this unresolved grief. It's a wonderful thing. I just thought about that, Nirja ma'am. I thanked her for bringing this up. It's something very wonderful. We need to work on it, but we need to look into the past, present, and the future and be practical about it. Just not blame someone else. Let's see what we are. Each one of us can individually do something in every field of it. That is what I felt. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice. Thank you. Who's next? Who's next? Quickly. Lata? There were 4 groups.
So I think I was, because outside the group I couldn't hear anyone. Was just wondering what's going on inside.
Okay. Is there anybody else? Lata, just let's quickly check with anybody else who'd like to share. Okay, it seems either the rest of you were not in a breakout room, or I don't know what's happening. So we are going to be moving on from here. Is that okay, Lata?
Yeah, please.
All right. So this exercise was to establish that there is around us unresolved grief, and this is something that we deal with, and therefore that again, I come back to the moral imperative that every generation is expected to leave behind a generation that is healthier, more productive, more potent, more prosperous than the earlier generation. And if that is not happening, it's not good for the survival of the species. That's not how nature is supposed to function. And therefore, since that doesn't seem to be happening, or there are challenges there, it's a moral imperative to do all we can. And teaching social emotional learning, managing emotions is one of the crucial things that can be done. So let's go back to our presentation. And here I am back. He talked about unresolved grief. We can start by acknowledging it, by bringing it up, by looking it in the face, and then trying to negotiate that as best as we know how. Now, growing up, why is this unresolved grief happening around us, and what is happening with the younger generations? What is happening is that growing up today is harsher because we are not teaching the whole learner. One of us talked about the education system. If we taught the entire learner, they would become better contributors, but we are teaching or addressing only certain parts of their personality. We are also not caring for the entire child so that they could become better citizens. We are focused on grades. I needn't go into that. You are perfectly aware of what I'm trying to say here. Also, all these things are going on. Peer parenting, children being brought up by their peers. The attitude today in schools is that 10th, 11th, 12th is too late to save them. Unfortunately, you hear it. I've heard it being said in schools. And all we can do is save the classes from 6th to the 9th. Then there's this feeling that parents, not feeling, it's a fact that whenever something goes wrong, parents are the last to know. And staying informed and relevant, therefore, is very important for parents today. Children today, also because of technology, they become very smart at hiding things. It's much easier. And there are questions of, I've written there, consent, misogyny, slut shaming, angst, and aggression, because these are real emotions that young people struggle to manage today. And it is starting much earlier. Children as young as 8 or 9 are exposed to things that in our days we were exposed to much, much later, in our teens. The fairy tale is dead. I hate to put it like this, but in a manner, the fairy tale that we grew up with is dead. It looks different today. And this is in particularly with reference to this book. You can look up this book if you like. I read this book. It's a realistic picture of what our young are dealing with today. So a compassionate vigilance, empathy, we talk about all this. These are familiar words. They are all over LinkedIn. They are everywhere on our posts. Social emotional skills are not soft. This also we say they are the hardest we will need. And emotional revolution again is the need of the hour today and tomorrow's workforce. Educators, professionals, innovators will need psychological robustness and wholesomeness most of all. Why is that? Of course, it's because of the uncertainty, the rapid rate of change they are facing. However, let's now talk about the young and the older separately. Young, they are there on the screen. I was taking this session with in incoming freshman class. They are hyper-connected, they are anxious. This is what I learned from them firsthand while talking to them. They're also very aware of our disdain, about the disdain of the adults. They're exposed to age-inappropriate content and overly stimulated and struggling with low self-esteem. Unfortunately, despite everything that they have, they suffer from a low self-esteem. And that is strange for us to understand and appreciate. So what we need them to have is, of course, motivation, perseverance, self-control, because that is what will take the economy forward and the human race forward. This is a podcast that I'm working on, and I'm calling it Teens in Love because, again, these are emotional, what you call quicksand. Daldal hoti hai. It's like quicksand. You don't have any directions, but you're sinking into it. And in my work, I talk about subjects that we don't usually bring out in the open. The reason I picked this subject was because today more and more young people struggle with this. They're in relationships, they are in love when they're not actually ready for it. There's another thing that's happening around us, which makes SEL a moral imperative. There is an extended adolescence. 25 is the new 18. Children are taking longer to establish their sense of identity. Who am I? Where am I? Where am I going? What am I doing with my life? They're taking much, much longer because their parents no longer tell them that this is the path, because their parents don't know themselves. The professions have changed. Everything, the needs, the skills that are required have changed. So there is a lot of confusion. And could these be symptomatic of a complete lack of investment in non-cognitive skills? Yes, the answer is yes. The art of managing one's micro expressions, that is your SEL, social emotional learning, and have feelings begun to matter? Yes. And you get deeper friendships, stronger attachments, all these smarter conflict management, all these non-threatening leadership skills are moral imperatives. They'll only come through social emotional learning because these are crucial to survival of the economy and thereby the race. You die of old age and we'll die of climate change. The young today, they do have a degree of depth. Let's face it, and let's admit that they are far more concerned about the environment that you and I were, because it was not an issue back then. We were not concerned about the environment. Our interest was focused on our family, our immediate neighborhood, our extended family, relatives, grandparents. That's it. The world was that small. But today, these children are concerned about the climate. They have the intelligence, the empathy that will move our world. So while we talk about all that is wrong, all the grief, we also have to acknowledge that these young people do have their strengths, their special attributes, their special talents. The idea is to give them the tools to be able to stay wholesome and functional and not get derailed along the way, so that they literally will be responsible for saving the earth. Here is my next slide. I'd like you to answer this question, please. Which of these contagions can be controlled? Hello, are you there?
Ma'am, the slide is not responding actually. How do we vote?
It's not responding. Did you? Just a second.
We're supposed to click on the screen only, right?
Wait, let me just go back to it. Yes, I click on the screen. You feed the same code and it should work. Let me try also.
Sure.
Or you can say it verbally, any one of you, whoever wants to.
You can use the chat box also.
I think we can do with negative emotion. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's responding.
It's working.
It's working. Okay. So which of these contagions? I'm calling Elon Musk a contagion. It's half in jest, but you understand why I'm calling him a contagion. Coronavirus, yes. Thank you very much. So the contagion of, I want to make sure that I've not missed a slide. Yeah, this is true because negative emotions, and all the time we are talking about positivity. So there you have that right. And let me see what have I missed. Just give me, I'm sorry, excuse me for a moment. I want to make sure that I've not missed out anything. Yes. Let's go back to, thank you very much for participating in this. Now, our children can't be what they ought to be unless we are what we ought to be. This is something to remember. Many a times, the disconnect that is happening today is because, frankly speaking, we are not particularly great managing our own emotions. Chronological age does not necessarily mean that we are adept at managing our emotions. We are not. And I'd like to share with you, usually these are us. I mean, not all of us, some of us. This is my generation. These are all boomers there. We are uninformed. We are like ostriches, many of us. We do not care to inform us. We don't take proactive steps to inform ourselves. Sometimes we are delusional about the world around us. We are prescriptive. Do this, do that. This is how it should be. This is how you're supposed to live. These are the choices you ought to be making. Our communication style is passive aggressive, whereas the next generation is growing up to appreciate autonomy, personal autonomy. We don't understand that. We are thoroughly confused. We are confused because we are telling ourselves, oh, the young generation is very smart on one hand. On the other hand, we're always doubting them. We are second guessing them. We are not able to wholeheartedly support them or look at them with a sense of lightness. We're not able to do that. We're also very frightened, and we are giving, underline this, we are giving them mixed messages all the time. I've done it with my children. I know my friends are doing it. This is happening. So social emotional learning is something that has to happen with each one of us, as well as the next generation society. Everybody, literally everybody without exception. These are the challenges we face. Communication between parents and adolescents, communication between teachers and students, lack of empathy between employers and millennial. We just talked about millennial employees. Attrition. Attrition is a big problem with companies today. Digitally qualified workforce, losing young employees. This is a big challenge that companies face today. And this is why it is a moral imperative social emotional learning, what we need are respectful workspaces that are inclusive. We need synergy and harmony. Nobody's denying that. And a society with a high degree of trust. Again, this is something that we struggle with. I'm trying to get a sense of the time. Right. A degree of trust. We have become a malevolent, not a benevolent society. There's always this feeling that we have been shortchanged. Now, what do you need for all of this? Your social, emotional learning and teaching and internalizing and practicing and applying will involve open conversations, supportive environments, and proactive interventions. Now, proactive interventions, this bystander, this tendency to just stand by and watch and not intervene where it's required. This is a change in mind shift that has to come around, that is coming around. Supportive environment, for instance, in mental health. Look at mental health and how it is transforming today. Open conversations, the kind of conversations that we had on this call today, a little bit of the talking that we did in the breakout rooms, this ability to drop the mask and be honest and admit that we are struggling. This is a kind of a overview of what the battlefronts are. We are struggling, we are fighting on several battlefronts. We need to be future ready. We need to exercise empathy. First, we need to know the difference between empathy, sympathy, all of that. We need to be sensitized and to gender, to ageism, to peer pressure. We need to reclaim our personal power and not dump on people around us or not blame them for our unhappiness or lack of ability to celebrate life or make the most of it. We need to have a working knowledge of non-violent communication. It's a big shift from the way humans used to communicate in the past until recently. It's still happening, but in pockets, there is awareness now. And ambient awareness. What is ambient awareness? Look around you. Do not have the blinkers on. Look at the power of the social media. Be aware of the waterfall of information that it is throwing at all of us. Be aware of what the big ideas today are. For instance, do we know that Russia is busy putting together a cyborg island? Or do we know that space to earth economy is rapidly changing to space economy? What are the current happenings? What are the big ideas? Where is the technology today? We need to be aware of the ambient environment. And this is not just true for the younger generation, for each one of us, no matter what your age. Because if you want to stay connected with the next generation, if you want to stay connected with each other, we have to be proactive and keep pace with what's happening around us. What are two of our most fundamental psychological needs, I would like to know, in your view? This is my time to take a breath.
Safety and security.
Absolutely.
Madam, can you repeat your question?
The question is, what are the two of our most fundamental psychological needs? The really deep-seated fundamental needs that you can't live without satisfying those needs. Two of the most fundamental. One was just spelled out, and there's another one. Just take a guess, either say it or type it.
Yeah, I will also go with safety and security. That is what Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of need is there. Yeah.
Right. Safety and security are more or less synonymous, right? They're similar. Safety and security. Any other psychological need that each one of us has, a very strong need, which makes us human, which gives us the reason to go on with security and respect. Excellent. Yes. Connection and care. Beautiful.
The second
Yes,
one
please.
is belonging. Like
Lovely.
we are being a part of any community because no man is island. So we
Absolutely.
can't live without any group or the group of people. We can't survive. So belonging, I would
Sense of belonging. Very true. Sense of community. And there's one more psychological deep-seated need. It's the need to feel
I think
worthy.
love and care.
Love and care and a sense of worth, that I'm worth something, right? A sense of self-worth. That
Yes.
is that is where your sense of honor. We do so much for honor. We don't do everything for money. We do a lot for a sense of self-worth, that I'm contributing, I'm impacting, I'm making a difference. That's where your sense of worth comes. And of course, there are different words you use for that: love, care, connection. All this is part of it. So these are the two fundamental psychological needs: sense of worth and safety. Safety is connected with our physical survival, and sense of worth is connected with our mental, psychological, emotional. Certainly, after roti kapra makan is what keeps us alive. Okay. Now, this is a new generation that is coming up. I wanted to talk about this because remember that social emotional learning, being a moral imperative, is also tied up with what frontiers technology is opening up to us. So Generation V is the virtual generation. And it was coined by this person there. I've written his name. See, what is happening is today, from the web of things, we are moving towards the web of thoughts. There's a mastermind. There's a brain-machine interface that we are moving towards very rapidly. And it's very soon our brains, we are already linked. Very soon the link will be even stronger. Imagine it's quite surreal. Used to talk about the mastermind, and here there's a master consciousness because of the connection, because the web is there, the internet is there, and it just gets deeper and deeper, stronger and stronger, and very soon our brains will be connected. Brains will be connected. They already are connected in many ways. So the web is changing very rapidly in complexion, in its ability, in its reach. It gets deeper. This is deep mind, deep consciousness that we are moving towards. And as part of that, one of the things we are seeing around, and we saw it recently during the online classes, how augmented reality is being used and adopted in remote teaching. So literally, the future is here. And it's always like this. The future steals up on us, on many of us unawares, we are not aware of. And suddenly it starts bit by bit by bit, and lo and behold, you're right in the thick of it. So in all of this, what will be crucial to keep it together and prevent it from imploding or exploding both will be your SEL integration. And the challenge for everybody on this call, anybody who is connected with social emotional learning, would be integration. How are you going to integrate it? Yes, it is a 21st century skill, but your challenge will be in integrating it. And today, even more so, starting now, because hybrid is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And as technology, as robotics takes off, more and more robots take on jobs. For example, coding will start to happen on its own. You don't need to learn coding anymore in the near future. there are a lot of jobs that are going to be obsolete very soon. So when all this hybrid nature of life around us grows, your SEL integration is going to become very important. And they're already calling the future economy the economy of feelings. We used to have an economy of knowledge. Economy of feelings is what we are moving towards. So the joint stakeholders need to come together. And all of us here are joint stakeholders. There are stakeholders who are connected with us. No one is enough today. No one is enough today. Therefore, we talk about collaboration and connecting and working together. Thank you so much. That's my case for social emotional learning being a moral imperative. It is ethically, generationally, in every way, it is something the right thing to do today. It is what we need to put out there. That's the message I come with. Thank you very much. And anything you'd like to add, it's over to you, Lata. And any questions, any discussion, any comment, please share.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was wonderful session as always. Lots of learning from here. And yes, we see the challenges and we already are into it. You already know where we are stuck.
Yeah, exactly. And to that, I want to say one more thing. See, social emotional learning has to become, now it's high time it became mature enough to be able to handle counter arguments. So there'll be counter arguments about social emotional learning. Is it enough? Is it broad enough? Is it deep enough? Is it relevant enough? Is it there enough? So that criticism, which I started with, that is also a very important part of social emotional learning, that you have to be mature enough to handle all those questions and have your counter arguments also ready, because that makes you sharper and that makes you more relevant. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was wonderful, wonderful. And I think you almost kept everyone on our toes to, be there on their amazing way of presentation. Thank you so much. And request all of you to come on the video for a 2 minutes, because we have a customary way to talk. So please put on your videos for a few seconds. Chetna, Gaurav, Nehal, Avinash. Power is off. Okay.
My video is not coming, ma'am. I don't know.
Okay. Bella, Komal.
Our battery is dying.
Okay, on count of 3, we will use from the reaction button the love symbol. Okay, don't just put it off before I count 3, because it will go away. On a count of 3, let's use the reaction button called love symbol, the heart one. 1,
Yes.
2, 3. There you go. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nirja ma'am. Thank you. It was wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for the